Building great things are sensitive applications of a theory. Building great things, there will be moments in the process that'll make you question these theories. The Brooklyn Nets were humbled this evening. We have a lot to talk about, New York City's. Let's not waste any time. I welcome New York City and all allied members from areas unknown. Tonight we get an opportunity as the Front Office Podcast to question what we saw this evening. I mean, obviously, the clear first thing is that this was this was obviously unacceptable. But what was unacceptable? Kevin Durant had his normal dominating game. Kyrie got less than the amount of opportunities that he typically would want, but he had a pretty good game. If that is the case, Mr. Samuel LaChow, my partner in crime in this endeavor that we call the Front Office Podcast, let's talk about what happened.
Let's do it.
This evening, I think, and I don't mean to be rambling on, but I want to set you up on a platform to have a conversation that puts the way we're going to analyze this in a box, right? Because you could go far different places if we don't frame the conversation, and if you don't mind, if you would indulge me, let me define that frame. Let me define that box for you. So, I think sometimes really great teams and really innovative groups of and organizations, sometimes they outsmart themselves. In my personal business career, I've gone hard on just building the best application, the best piece of software, and sometimes all you really needed was just a great sales team. The Nets, I think, by putting Dinwiddie in the starting lineup, I think they're outsmarting themselves. I think the decision to play DeAndre Jordan in the starting lineup is also maybe not even necessarily outsmarting themselves. I think that's just being plain stupid. Something is missing in the evaluation of big men and the necessity of being able to play physical big men in this team. But that's not the way that I want to look at it. If the Nets are going to play this way, how do they stop teams like the Charlotte Hornets, who can just dive into the paint all evening and take advantage of the fact that we've got one big man on the team? And I'm sorry, I know Kevin Durant is 7 feet, but Terry Rozier was out physicaling Kevin tonight. And I don't fault Kevin. Look, the reason why Kevin Durant is great is because he's a 7-foot small forward with the skills of a ball handling skills of a point guard. He can get to anywhere on the floor and pull up at any time. What is the game plan, Sam? How is this going to work?
Yeah, so I think for the purposes of the pod, I think it's interesting to kind of to dissect the game. This is the way that I would dissect it, I guess, into three different kind of issues, right? There's the lineup and rotation stuff, which is what you were just alluding to. And that then seeps its way into the Prince and Shamet disaster, which it's granted it's 3 games. This stuff changes, especially with shooters, especially with a shooter like Shamet, where this stuff can change in a next game. If you told me he went 6 for 6, I wouldn't be surprised. And then the third part I think is just flat out effort, which I think also seeps in a little bit to the rebounding issue that we've seen that they've had even in the blowouts. And look, like their effort at times hasn't been great, even in the games that they won by 20, like the first 2 games.
Yeah, I want to say something about the Shamet thing, right? See, Shamet hasn't played enough games for me to indict him.
Yeah, I agree.
He was horrendous tonight. But here's the problem with Shamet, and here's the problem with Taurean Prince. Do you remember the play where the Nets are on a break? Taurean gets the ball, and he's so disjointed. He knows he can't score.
Yep.
He knows he's got nothing to finish, so he freezes.
Yeah, he dropped it to Jeff Green, who then dished it out to TLC.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's ugly. And here's the problem with Shamet. If you're not going to make 3-pointers, if you're not going to space the floor, you have zero value. That's why playing Timothy Luwawu-Cabarrot made all the sense in the world, because the problem with Taurean, the thing that compounds the Taurean Prince problem is that then you have his alter ego who looks just like him. You know what I'm saying? It's like the Spider-Man meme. He pointing at each other. Yep. They both cannot finish at the bucket. And this is a serious flaw in this team. It's where we lack versatility. If we ever have to ground and pound teams, we don't have enough of the tools to do so. And then why are we on purpose putting ourselves in a position to be less athletic? I don't know. I don't profess to be a basketball scout, right? I'm a basketball fan that obsesses enough about it and looks at it in a data-driven way to talk about it, right? And I think we've got a couple thousand people rocking with us, and we appreciate them. And I'm going to explore this as best I can. You have 2 players on the floor who cannot finish at the basket. That makes them so easy to guard. And it throws the Nets offense into a disarray. And the reason why this is happening, Sam, and tell me if I am lying, it's because Dinwiddie isn't with them. Those guys need a true point guard badly. They cannot create offense for themselves. So wouldn't it make more sense to have the dribble penetration guy, the guy that's going to create for them and help them put them into position to score, than Karis LeVert?
Yeah, I mean, the the only issue I have with that though is that to be honest, I don't really think. And look, like I love Spencer, and first of all, we also have no idea how long he's going to be out for. Um,
That's
but
scary. That's
what'd you say?
scary. That's scary.
Yeah, yeah, no, and but the thing with Dinwiddie is that I truly don't really think he makes the people around him that much better, whereas I think Levert does. And so the thing I get nervous about is if Dinwiddie is in the second unit alone. I think it basically becomes the Dinwiddie show, which I think can either be beautiful if he goes on those runs that he can go on his own, or I think it could be an utter disaster if he's not getting calls and he starts jawing at the ref and then doesn't come back on D and he goes through that whole type of thing. But I mean, it's clear. Look, I mean, like all things being equal, the best thing might be if he was hitting shots, you could easily convince me that that like Harris should play the two, Irving should be the one, Prince should play the three, Durant the four, and then Jordan or Allen the five. The issue is like Prince is just whatever he was in Atlanta, which was like a 39% 3-point shooter. I don't know if it's getting paid, or I don't know if it's something in Brooklyn, or I don't know if he thinks he has a short leash, but he's a general net negative, and I think honestly the most astute point that's been made so far in this podcast what you said about his layup, which is that like he even on a play that was basic the whole time, it's kind of like watching like a 4-year-old like bike down a steep hill. You're like, all right, like how is this gonna end? Like
every single time, if he makes a layup, it's by luck. Listen, the Nets this evening were outscored 64-24 in the paint.
Well, can I ask you? I just want to ask you one question about the whole paint thing, because that was something that I was also going back and forth with people on Twitter about. Like, the paint thing was something that we went into the year knowing that this was going to be like an issue.
Right.
Like this isn't anything we're that surprised about. And to be honest, this was an issue. It's not to the same extent because the like let's say 2015, 2016, or 2016, 2017 Warriors had a couple more big bodies because they had like Bogut and Ezeli and Spates, and so guys who could bang a little bit more. But I mean, they also got annihilated in games against like the Cavs in the finals when they had the Tristan and and K Love lineups and stuff like and Mozgov. So like, I mean, like we knew that on the boards this was their like kryptonite, which like which is why I don't really have as much of an issue with the boards as much as I do like this is a team that's going to win and lose by the three. Like it's case closed. Like if Shamet and Prince in the first half, instead of going 0 for 12 or whenever that was in the third quarter, if instead of going 0 for 12, they go 3 for 12, which would still be way below their averages, it's a completely different game.
If it was that we were outscored 40-24, I would agree with you. But being outscored 64-24 and knowing what and basically just like this is just verifying what we looked at and came to an assumption, right? We made an assumption, and 64-24 is just proof of that assumption. So is that going to happen every game? I don't think Kevin Durant becomes a different human being. And that's nothing wrong with it because he's really great at defending shooting guards and small forwards. He's agile. He's got great footwork. He's just not a physical NBA player.
Yep.
And sometimes you need a person on your team that's gonna basically play that side of the basketball game. People who run and dunk. And I said something earlier on Twitter, and I think this is worth exploring. Maybe the Nets have too much